once again, we introduced West Midlands Growth to you yesterday, and Joel said we've got a little event on in the summer. Not everybody may have recognised that was actually the Commonwealth Games. So West Midlands Growth is the area which is represented by, or which encapsulates Coventry, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, the area where the Commonwealth Games are taking part. We are absolutely delighted to have them as our headline speaker and sponsor today, and we'll be working more closely with them as we move towards the Commonwealth Games as well. So Joel's here to tell you a little bit more about, I think, what the region is doing to prepare for the event.
Hi everyone, you can hear me okay? You know, at a conference they say you've got the graveyard shift. I've got the hungry shift because I'm sure you're dying to go out and get some food and have something to eat. So I'm not going to spend long talking to you, but maybe touching on a few points that have been raised over the last day or so. I've immensely enjoyed the conversations that we've been having, both in the sidelines, but as part of the content of the conference itself. So I work for West Midlands Growth Company. That's my contact details if you need to kind of follow up. And here's a little video that says it better than I can. I presume it just plays.
Let's start from the heart. The heart of the UK, yes. But a heart of passion and pride too. It's time to take centre stage, to explore stories that might just surprise and move you. Time to embrace experiences that delight and lift you. We're getting everyone in one place, our place, uniting cultures and contrasting voices. The race has started, and we're up and running. You can see dazzling talent everywhere you look, along with the well-honed skills to pull off something special. Join us, together, creating a wall of sound and an explosion of colour. So exciting, you can taste it. One region, one community, one thriving international home. The West Midlands.
There you go, that's the West Midlands. And for those of you who don't know, the kind of map of the UK, West Midlands is right in the heart of the UK, about an hour from Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester, London, about 100 miles actually. And what's really important about my role and the work that I'm doing at the moment is that this legacy programme is actually grounded and rooted in a trade, tourism and investment programme. So this isn't the usual legacy, let's get some kids in schools doing some sport. This is the serious grown-up business of driving jobs, visitors, and business and economic growth across the region. Across some key sectors which include future mobility, business services, e-commerce and creative technologies. We're very lucky in the West Midlands to have a very kind of rich heritage of sport. So some of you may know that when Webb Ellis first picked up a ball and ran with it at the rugby school, it was the home of all forms of rugby. First game of lawn tennis was played in Edgbaston, in Birmingham. And, you know, it's got a really rich portfolio of facilities like the Belfry that's hosted the Ryder Cup 4 times. So what we want to do is make sure we use the Commonwealth Games as a platform to really promote our world-class venues and continue to attract major sporting events in the future. But it's not just about any event for us. We've got a clear target to attract 8 events by 2027, but alongside that, raising our profile as a region that does sport and is great at hosting world-class events. I think this bit's really important, that we're driven by our values. So we're not just going after any event, that we want to go after events that are welcoming, that are inclusive, that are diverse. So just by way of illustration, we've just finished the inaugural edition of the British Kabaddi League. Some of you may have seen that on BBC, but it is a sport that's got its foundations in South Asian communities, representative of the city and the region. And we helped to launch that British Kabaddi League in Wolverhampton with events in Birmingham as well. In a 50-odd, 3-4 days' time, we'll be hosting the first ever Commonwealth Esports Champs, and alongside that, a Commonwealth Esports Conference, which speaks to our young and innovative approach. And I always talk about events with purpose and impact. Why are we doing them, and what do we want to achieve? And whether that's social impact, economic impact, environmental impact, or just image of place, it's really important when we're planning these events that these outcomes are baked in at the start of the conversation, not added on at the end. So we're looking at the sports that are important to us, we're looking at the venues that can host the events, we're also trying to ensure that we engage partners in that, our commercial partners and our venue partners, and then we go through a process of, I suppose, prioritisation of those events that we are interested in. And we've had the great pleasure of speaking to a number of governing bodies and federations today about how we bring some of those events to the West Midlands in 23, 24, 25. So I'll pause there. Wish you all a great rest of conference. Enjoy your lunch. I'm happy to take questions, but that's it from me. Thanks very much for listening. Oh, I should say you're all invited to Birmingham on the 28th to the 8th of August. Happy to take you for a curry. So come and join us. Thanks.
So we do have plenty of time for questions, and you're not quite released for lunch yet because there's one further presentation after this. So hopefully, if you can stick around, you might learn a bit about how to make some more money, which is a good way of keeping you in the room. So any questions generally about preparations for the Commonwealth Games, specifically about or about the West Midlands in general?
I'm just, can I just add one more comment, thinking about the audience that perhaps in the room, businesses and people who are involved in that kind of sports economy ecosystem. I think it's really, really important that through the hosting of a major event like the Commonwealth Games, we build our capacity, our skills, our knowledge and experience within the sectors that support major sporting events, and that we don't lose that post-event. And speaking to colleagues from the Gold Coast, who may be in the room, but speaking to them last night, the programme that they ran around trade, tourism and investment has been essential to the platform that they've created to host future events. So although my job is predominantly to attract major sporting events, I often say it's grounded in sports tourism and the sports economy. So those security companies, ticketing companies, marketing organisations, volunteer organisations that actually help to create a really healthy ecosystem. I'd be really interested, if you're interested in talking to me, of course, to follow up those conversations with you over the next month or few and see how we can make sure we do keep this community and family together that perhaps are interested in being part of the future in the West Midlands. If that's helpful. No.
Anyone got a question? While the microphone gets into you, I've got a quick question. So I've got tickets, gymnastic tickets, rugby sevens tickets. Can't wait. There was a picture of a para athlete on your video. I wasn't sure how the para athletes are being embedded in the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, there's absolute parity, obviously not in every sporting discipline, but I know the organisers of the Commonwealth Games have been looking at a real a strong gender balance, but also making sure para-athletes at the forefront of all of the planning. So I think we'll see that full integration as we've started to see in other championships as well.
But it's not like the Olympics where there's an Olympics and then a Paralympics. It's more embedded.
It's an integrated event, which I think is a great way forward.
It's going back to our point about
So before I took on this role, I was head of major events at British Cycling, and we did something similar with the Track World Cup, where we had 2 days of the Track World Cup, and then we had the Para World Cup embedded within the sessions. And the crowd went nuts for the para athletes because they were like superhumans on bikes. And how are they, travelling that fast? So I think it's a real opportunity to give great exposure to para sport. So I'm really looking forward to it.
We should give credit to the Rugby League World Cup, who's doing absolutely the same, running three equally branded, equally weighted events with the men's, women's, and their sort of
Absolutely.
people of determination event.
Yeah.
Yes, hello. I'm Carlo Brocca from Instant Sport. So at this event we are talking a lot about sustainability. So I'd like to know how many new venue has been built for the games.
So one new venue, it's the Aquatic Centre, Sandwell Aquatic Centre. There's been a Alexander Athletic Stadium has been redeveloped to host the Commonwealth Games, but one is the Aquatic Centre.
Any temporary venues?
There are temporary venues in the outdoor spaces, so a lot of the, I think, basketball and other events are happening in public spaces, but I've got to emphasise I'm not part of the organising committee for the Commonwealth Games, so I'm not responsible for the Commonwealth Games. I'm kind of responsible for what happens when that particular circus leaves town, and making sure that we leave a lasting impact on the city and on the region. It'll be a fantastic platform, springboard for the city of Birmingham and for the West Midlands, as it was in London, as it was in Glasgow, as it was in the Gold Coast. But I think for me it's what do we do with that opportunity, or what do we do with this next opportunity within the region in the subsequent years.
Any more questions? Great.
Hi, Joel. So I come up from Australia, and in November this year, we've got a Virtus Oceania Asia Regional Games for athletes with intellectual impairment. We're currently working with the Queensland Government and Gold Coast and Brisbane City Councils to create this tourism, sport tourism, right? Because obviously coming on the back of the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. My question then is, unlike Paralympics and Olympics and Commonwealth Games, we're a small fish in a very big pond. So how do I ensure that the LOC, my LOC, the Virtus Oceania Asia Games, doesn't get consumed from running an event, doesn't get consumed by the sport tourism, but to actually work in a more collaborative way?
It's really, well, how long have we got? We said lunch is on the way, but it's an excellent question, actually. We have the same challenges in Birmingham and the West Midlands. And I say that the organising committee have got a job to do, and that's make sure the event runs on time, on budget, is a fantastic spectacle. We've got the Commonwealth Games Federation, which are interested in the Commonwealth family and all of the kind of associations. But it's our responsibility as a city to take this opportunity and make the most of it for our businesses, our communities, our residents. That's not their job. And the longer we stand back and expect them to do it, the more time is wasted. So I would say to the city leaders, is kind of grasp the opportunity and start to write your own script. Don't wait for somebody to write the script for you, because yours will be the most powerful voices in the room. You know, the event needs to be delivered safely, on time and on budget, and that's their job. So, happy to talk to you afterwards about some of the things that we've been talking about, but we've been talking about, we've got to make sure the politicians can take some brave decisions, and we've got to insulate them politically by talking about the right things. So that's about making sure our communities are engaged, our businesses benefit, that there's a long-lasting impact from the event. So I think there's a lot in that, in a few words, but I think it's about you taking responsibility for that and owning the narrative.
Great. Thank you very much, Joel.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks, everybody.
The other really, really smart thing that the West Midlands Growth are doing is working with MEI as partners to help activate and amplify that business hosting